Hey.
Hey, hey. Welcome back to page 3. I'm Ellie.
I'm Sydney.
And in today's very exciting episode, we're just going to, go back, talk about books. I feel like we kind of switch it like every other week, talking about books, talking about life, whatever. In this episode, we're going to talk about the book things, modern day book things, book publishing industries are kind of the choices that they're making that we are not big fans of.
Yeah.
To kind of put it lightly about like
If you know that like TikTok sound right now that's like, get a ban, now I'm pissed. Like the girl on the bicycle, you know what I'm talking about? And she's like, get it. That's like how we feel about these.
we're just gonna kind of go through like we both have 2 of them, go through why we hate
Yeah,
them, and kind of go through there.
totally.
So if you've been in Page Three's podcast for a little while and you've been following us along, you know that I, more than Sid, am a lover of the romance genre. I love romance novels. I have so much fun with them. I think they're a great palate cleanser when you're reading something really deep, though some romance novels can be super deep. But the latest trend, and I think there's a wide consensus of people who really have all agreed that cartoon covers are horrible. Okay.
I
Now,
completely.
I feel this way for multiple reasons, but I'm going to get to my first one, which is I don't really love it when authors try to tell me exactly what a character looks like on the front of a cover.
I didn't even, that was like not even going to be one of my things that I even thought of when you said cartoon book covers. But now that you said it, every time I see a book cover, I'm going to be like, I do picture them like that. And that's it.
Yeah.
I
And it's
wouldn't,
like they're doing the work for you. Like, I don't want
yeah,
that. Like, I
no,
really don't want you to tell me what the characters look like. I don't want you to tell me what their style looks like. I want to be able to make them up in my mind with the details that the author gives me. And I feel like it's
totally,
almost cheating by giving them to me so
totally.
simply. And the second reason that I hate it is because I feel as if when a book is animated in that sense, it makes it seem like kitschy, if that's the right word, or like it makes it seem like, oh, this isn't real. Like this is like, oh, this is like a cute little cartoon I'm gonna watch, where it just feels like there's like a distance between you're reading it and the actual novel. And I like when things feel like the characters feel so real to me. And so when it's a
Yeah,
cartoon cover, I feel like they're automatically like in an
totally.
animated world off in the distance, and I am stepping into this world. Just makes it feel a little illegitimate to me, and makes the story feel less like present in my mind. It makes it feel like distant to me in a way.
Yeah. See, I feel I always like avoid it because I feel like it comes off really immature, in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
whenever I'm sorry, also if you guys are watching this on YouTube and I keep looking over here, my cat is going ham on my bed right now and I'm scared that he's gonna rip a hole in it. So it's more just me making sure I don't have to remove it. Nonetheless, I think it makes it seem really immature. Like
Yeah.
I think when I see a cartoon cover, even if it's like a couple that's an adult in the photo, I automatically view them like I can't even picture them as like the whole story to me is then a cartoon, which
Yeah.
feels really childish. Like I'm picturing like the town is like so untangible and like the where they grow up is so magical and whatever. And I feel like most of the time the story doesn't even match the cover. So then it's just kind of contradictory. And I know that the author doesn't have control over that. But I've also read somewhere I see the cover and I'm like, for example, I think a really good example of one is the Heated Rivalry book cover.
Yes. But it
Because
didn't used to be that way. But it didn't used to be that way. They'll republish it. And then I saw it when I was in Barnes& and Noble. It was like new releases in romance. That book has been out since 2017.
but also like the cartoon cover of them, the two of them in the jerseys, whatever, like that makes like that is not an immature story at all.
No, you're
And
so
it
right. I
comes
think
off
that's
so kiddie.
totally. I think you're so right. I think it does make it feel like an immature story, or like the contents within it are less substantial because of the cover. And I think the cover just be incredibly misleading. I don't know why they popped off so hard. And I think when people wanted more ambiguous covers, they were not talking about, like, they weren't saying, I think the publishing industry mistook ambiguous for cutesy. And what we really
Yeah.
wanted was ambiguous, which is it's just, let me think of like a good, like, this is a great example. Like,
Yes.
you don't know her, right? Whereas this is like, I loved this book. This is an amazing book, but I'm like, no, I think it could have been like, this book is all about traveling the Camino de Santiago. And I think they could have really played with that, you know?
Yeah. I also think one of the issues I have with it from a standpoint that has nothing to do with like us personally and our takes as a reader is that as somebody whose media and things as a kid was really monitored except for reading,
Mhm.
I think this is a dangerous game to play because if you are a parent like my parents who cared so deeply about like what you watched on TV, what this, but you could read whatever you wanted. Like I
Yeah.
had access to the books on my mom's Kindle since I had one. Like I could read whatever.
Mhm.
Personally, I'm not so sure that any of the romances I have read at my age, I would want my 8 or 9-year-old child reading. And when you walk into a Barnes Nobles and you see that cover, not because of anything other than a lot of times these cartoonish covers, the content of the book has like a lot of sexually explicit content. And I don't know if necessarily like a middle schooler needs to read that. And I think the covers are really misleading because if I was a parent,
Mhm.
a 7, 8-year-old girl and you handed me this book and I saw this cover, I would really presume that it was age appropriate for you.
Totally.
And so I think they are a little bit misleading about like age appropriateness because especially if you're in the reader community at all, like typically you're reading at a higher level. Like kids like that are reading big long chapter books like this.
Yeah.
So they're not shopping in the kids section at a bookstore or Barnes Noble or whatever. They're just reading regular books. And so that's like my other issue with it is that I think keep seeing TikTok videos of teachers being like, I'm walking around my elementary school classroom seeing the books that kids are reading and they're books I've read. And I don't know how to approach a parent and be like, hi, I also read this really smutty romance. So now I
Right.
have to admit to you I read it and then
Right.
also tell you your 8-year-old is.
Right.
Like,
No, totally.
then I think it could
Yeah.
just be misleading other than, I mean, aside from the fact that we just think they're ugly.
Yeah, no, no, I 100% agree with you. I also think that it kinda gives away what the book is about in some terms where I don't necessarily want, and I never have really wanted people to know what I'm reading and what experience I have when I open the pages, though I
The
feel like
beauty of a
everybody.
Kindle.
What?
The beauty of a Kindle.
It is the beauty of a Kindle. And I feel like when I'm reading something, you could take a peek at a book and obviously judge a book by its cover totally, which I'm so aware of. But I think that there's some beauty of knowing that even though I could read a book and Sid could read a book, we're experiencing that same story very differently based on our own
Totally.
experiences and the way that it's written, the way that it resonates with us. So I feel
Totally.
like, I don't know, I really feel the need to say that I adored this book. This was an uh, exceptional book. I read about it on my Goodreads. So great. And I don't actually, this as a cartoon cover doesn't bug me as much as like the other ones have, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, I don't think I have a good example of one that's like really
No,
over
but you
the
guys
top.
have all seen them. Like, you all know.
Yeah.
Like, if you're watching this, you definitely know.
This one, yeah. This doesn't bother me because I loved this book and this one didn't make me immediately be offended, but this is the best example of I have like a quote unquote cartoon book cover for you.
Yeah.
Anyways, so your turn.
Okay, so my first one is when books are written in like our year or time period,
Mhm.
which is not an offense in itself, but then it's when they start using the lingo or like very specific things. Like I read a book recently that referenced Charlie D'Amelio's existence and I'm icked out. It's so I don't like it. No shade to her, but like I just don't need like they're talking about kids doing TikTok trends in a book and like it's an incredible book and for whatever reason, like it just took me out of the story because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
weird. I don't and
Yeah.
also I think and this isn't like meant to come off offensive either, but I think a lot of books that are being put out right now that are taking place in this time period and talking about like TikTok lingo and a lot of the Gen Z traits in language at this time are being written by millennials or older. And I think instead of making it not be like, oh, I don't like that, they're almost poking fun at it because I think I think it's really common knowledge that like millennial generation era does not really reciprocate the
Yeah.
same it does not really love the way that Gen Z presents themselves in all sorts of ways, doesn't really love all of our trends, our language, our things, and so I think a lot of it is, like, poking fun, and, like, I'm not offended by the poking fun, I'm just weirded out by it. Like,
Totally.
when I'm reading it and you drop in, like you purposely drop in TikTok language, but it's kind of, like, done poorly, and then also it's just, like, weird. Like, I like to read about something that does not exist in a time in which I am in currently. Like, I wanna like,
Yeah.
if you don't even have to put a date, actually,
Yeah.
even better. Like,
Yeah.
I've read so many books where, like, you don't really know when it takes place, like, you just use context clues of, like, okay, it's clearly taken place sometime in the 2000s,
Sure.
right?
Sure. It's
Like, you
like
know whether it's history
timeless.
or not.
Timeless in the sense of the place of like you don't time isn't really like a thing that you think about in terms of the story. Like the story kind of, and that's the beauty of stories. They exist outside of time itself, and you can kind of escape into this time where time can speed up or slow down, and you're passing years at a time in one page. Like when you place it so firmly into 2026 and you reference things that are have distinctly happened in 2026, I'm not loving it. But I also
I
think
don't love it either.
that we've read a lot of romance novels where the girl, which was gonna be one of my pet peeves, but I don't think it's, like, a big enough pet peeve, is that the girl always has to have, like, a hobby that is so also really trendy and based off of TikTok. Like, sometimes I'll
Yeah.
oh, you definitely just saw a girl on TikTok that has this, like, loves painting, but you can tell that the person in the story isn't a painter, they just love painting, which I don't think is a
Yeah.
problem, but it's just interesting the way that it's talked about. I'm like, clearly you saw a TikTok video based off of this, and then you were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make my whole character is her whole thing is that she loves painting," knowing nothing about painting. I don't know.
Yeah, I also think, like, there's one exception to this, and that's Tom Lake and Patchett novel. Really hope that I'm correct. Let me just confirm that this is I hope I just didn't mix up the titles and the last name. Yeah, Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, which is like a woman telling a story, like, during the pandemic,
Mhm.
and it reads very historical fiction narrative. It's, like, done really tastefully. It's not done in, like, a very trendy fiction way, and I think also a lot of things about books in general have become trends, like different genres, different stories. I mean, we've seen a surplus of gay hockey romances and, like, no shade, like, I'm glad that we're getting more of them out there, but a lot it's like how we were talking about it in a couple episodes ago about how so much fantasy has taken things from ACOTAR because
Yeah,
ACOTAR was doing so well and trending, which, like, it's an incredible book, it should, but then so many things have been, like, taken from that and mass produced, like, there's a
totally.
million variations of that type of book now that I think the problem is that to me, it feels really cheap to take from this time period and, like, basically make it take place as if it took place this week. And I feel like it feels cheap because you didn't have to imagine that. Like, there's no imagination involved. You looked out your window and looked on TikTok and wrote a story about it.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's so unimaginative. Like, create a time period that doesn't exist. Like, don't give us a date. Just, like, show, don't tell. Let us
Right,
imagine it. Like,
right,
that's
right.
why I love historical fiction. So it just feels like really mass production consumerism to, like, have it take place right now because it seems like the easy way out to me.
I totally agree with you, or even a way to faux authenticity or faux draw readers in by being like, "I understand you when I see you, and I'm, like, just
Yeah.
gonna place this joke here because I know that that rings true on the internet, and so it's gonna ring true here, but maybe it's not true to the story." I was talking to somebody a couple days ago about stories where and how much like, Sid and I always talk about how much we love small bookstores, but I think I love small bookstores because 'cause they're not giving you a lot of the books that are just, like, constantly being pushed out there on a lot of, like, apps and stores and whatever, and I feel like that's because a lot of them are trying to retell a story that's already been told because people want to experience the same story over and over and over again, which is what we talked about maybe last episode or the episode before. And I totally understand that. But at the same time, when you tell a really great story, it's kind of because it stands on its own and it gives you something that nothing else can give you, right? So
Mhm.
yeah. Okay, my second one. Oh, did you want to say something?
No, no.
My second one is when author names are bigger than the title. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what? I saw one where there's one guy that does it. James Patterson does it a lot, where it's be like, "James Patterson," and it'll be like,
He's speaking at my commencement tomorrow.
I'm so jealous. I'm actually he's a fantastic author, deserves all the praise in the world, genuinely, but every single time or like Stephen King. Stephen King's name will be fucking
His King is always literally half the cover.
like, oh my god, and I'm always kind of like, "Why?" And then I'm, like, hunting for the title. What is this about? Well, I don't care who wrote it. I care what the story's about. And I think I don't know, that always really bothered me and was really interesting, especially I think my roommate is reading a book right now where the front cover has a like, the title has a name in it, and the
So it's
author's
really confusing.
because the author's name is still bigger, and I'm like so for the longest time, I thought it was like, "Oh, a tale for something," but it wasn't because it was actually I couldn't even read the name because the author's name was so large. Anyways, that's my one guy. I
Was it
really don't understand that at all.
I don't get that either, and it
Well,
goes back to the thing that, like, it's publication decision, not, author decision necessarily.
yeah.
My second one, and we could probably do a whole episode on this, and we've already talked about this, so we don't need to beat a dead horse because we talked about this in last episode too,
Boy,
but
would love to beat a dead horse, Sid.
true.
Really, we do.
I'm very tired. of clickbait on the back of books. Like, that's the only way I can explain it, is that it is clickbait. Like, you'll read the back of the book and it'll be like, it'll tell you that there's a specific trope that's trending. So, say the trope is like, I'm trying to think of one that's been trending recently. I don't read a lot of romance, so I can't think of one, but
Stepping out of my romance.
yeah, so I don't know, but to say there's like a trend that's like, I don't know, say the miscommunication trope was like everybody's obsession, like,
Yeah.
or when morally gray, no, when morally gray men were a trend,
That was a yes.
the back of every romance novel would say something on the back of the book along the lines of like, is he morally gray or this? Or like, is he really this or that? And
For
something
for readers who love.
yes, and it's always something about that. Then you would read the whole book, doesn't even exist. There's literally nothing to do with that trope, or maybe one page where it engages in it. I
Yeah.
learned recently that the reason this happens is because if certain genres or tropes are trending, then publications obviously know that your book is going to get bought if they're placed under those categories. So they find a way to include it where it's not a lie technically, but it's elusive enough that it's like kind of fucked up that they can get away with it so that it gets sold more. And personally, I just don't like that because it feels like you're setting yourself up. Because if I go in expecting that I'm going to read this and I really like this category or this topic or whatever, and then I don't read it, I'm probably going to give your book a bad review because you set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And then I feel like that hurts you in the long run. Secondly, just misleading. Like if I'm looking to read a book that's 300 or more pages of my time, I hope it's what I want. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I hope I would like it because the back of the book is the closest thing that you get to the trailer for like a TV show or a movie. And at least there they pull clips from the show that exists. So you
Yeah.
like what you see is truly what you get. And I don't know. It just feels again like it's another thing that just feels very consumerism where like we're not really focused on the audience anymore. Like we don't really care about the reader as much as we care about other things. This is another one that feels like that.
100%. I totally agree with you. I also think that the back of the book is best to me when it leaves a lot to the imagination. And sometimes when they put in these tropes or even when they say those things, like I've kind of started to find that when it looks of that nature, I'm like, oh, I think this actually won't even be a good book because it can't stand on its own two legs, independent of those tropes.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I was talking to the same person I was talking about earlier about how a lot of the genres, like we were talking about literary fiction, which Sid loves. Sid loves literary fiction. Like sometimes I think that literary fiction isn't actually a really great depiction of what literary fiction actually is.
Totally.
And we were just talking about genres and how like genres in and of themselves don't really make a lot of sense and how, something like a lot of the books that we've read for book of the month lately have been mystery, but they're not really like everything's a mystery. What is the book
Yeah,
about? What is this clue? Like there are mysterious aspects of romance novels. There are mysterious aspects
totally.
in things that have nothing to do with mystery, right? There's mysterious aspects in literary fiction. Like I think that bogging something down to a genre and diminishing it into like a little like tiny thing so that people can pull it off the shelves is a disservice to the way that books have been marketed because I just think that that makes you think that you only want to live in one section of a bookstore when in reality you could love a whole section or the whole bookstore.
You should have heard me trying to explain my dad doesn't read at all, and you should have heard me trying to explain genres to my dad because he was like, "Well, everything's either fiction or nonfiction." And I was like, "Yes and no." And he was like, "No, it's are you reading a fiction book right now or a nonfiction book?" And I was like, "Well, I'm reading a fiction book, but there's also romance. And then under romance, there's classical, what is it called? Contemporary romance. There's enemies to lovers, there's friends to lovers, there's friends to enemies to lovers, there's enemies to friends to lovers, there's like and we got probably 3 minutes into this conversation before he was like, "Never mind. Forget I asked. I actually like." And that's the thing is that like it's so nice that those labels do exist, but the way that we're manipulating them is totally disvaluing them.
Totally. And it's making books into a trendy thing. And everybody knows trends don't last, but
Yeah,
books are forever. A story can sit with you for the rest of your life, truly.
exactly.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that was that.
that was that. Should we both recommend a book right now? I feel like we should just both recommend a book or talk about the
Sure.
books that you're reading other than The Correspondent.
Yeah, let me pull my Goodreads because I need to reflect on what I've read recently. I'm not gonna get into it now, but maybe get in another an episode soon. We'll be doing a life update, but I've not been reading as much as I would like to in the last week. And
And
so
that's
I'm
okay. We
going
support
through it.
her. Support her. We're sending her love.
Okay, so my book that I would recommend, I don't know if I already talked about this, so I really hope I didn't, and I just FaceTimed you and talked about it and didn't talk
Okay.
about it on the podcast. My probably one of my favorite books that I've read in the last year has been First Lie Wins by Ashley Elson.
I recommended her that book and I bought it.
If you watched our, like, not our most recent one, but the one before that vlog on TikTok of us picking books for each other, Ellie picked this out for me. It's also featured in an episode of us reading the back cover of it. Literally was obsessed with it. I binge read it. Like, I read it so fast over spring break, I couldn't stop reading it. And then the last 10 pages had me in a chokehold. My review says, this genuinely might be the best mystery or thriller I've ever read. It's so well thought out. The last 10 pages were when I finally got even the tiniest grasp of understanding. It was such an incredible ending, too. I mean, this one was just one of my favorite books I've probably ever read in general. And the concept is so fucking cool. This woman's a genius. Because literally, I sat there being like, and not even, oh, I couldn't guess. Like, we say that a lot. But more than that, being like, I have all the clues and I don't know what to do with them. Like, I can see them all at face value, and I still don't know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't anticipate the ending, and I was still trying to piece together the mystery at the same time, and they were like not the same thing.
Yeah.
It was I really loved it. I think everybody should read it. It's not creepy or scary. And one of my like conditions for reading mysteries or thrillers or like anything like that is I don't do scary or creepy. Like, not even like Criminal Minds level scary. Like, I did watch that show, but it needs to be written less scary than that is. Nothing that's going to give me nightmares. And this was so well done. I would read it again, honestly. So that was my recommendation.
My recommendation is the one I already mentioned in this video, but I just wanted to say it again.
Yes.
This book is so good. It's called Every Step She Takes by Alison Cochran. And I mean, this book was so good. It was the type of romance that you need where it's deep and a lot of character explanation. And it has
And that was the one that you were worried about.
it was one I was worried about. And I loved it. I ate it down. This is my review. I'll read on my Goodreads. I actually have never felt so compelled to write a review as I do right now. Let me just tell you, I found my new favorite author. The writing was impeccable. The character development was profound, and the storyline was exactly what I needed in a way I did not even expect. I adored the story and these characters, and I loved how articulately the author described heteronormativity and the struggles of feeling behind when you're queer. I suddenly want to book a flight and walk the Camino de Santiago because I feel like I have experienced those 200 miles fictionally, and now I want to experience them for myself because I can think of no better way for a writer myself to give me this kind of inner insight that exists in an isolated and equally liberating trek. I love, love, love this book. Shout out to Octavia at Pages in Manhattan Beach for recommending me this book and being all around incredible. I have no idea what to read next, but I do know where I'm going to find my next read. P.S. Support small bookstores.
Fire. Wait, I'm so glad you liked it because literally I know that was the one that you were a little like just a little worried about, mostly because it's not your normal like back the book, bro. It's because the fucking damn back the book.
All right, so now we're going to transition. Wait, let us know any of your favorite reads, any good reads that you're reading right now. I love good books. We love good books. Want to hear them. Love it. Now we're going to transition into book of the yay. So if you've been reading along, we have been reading The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. It has a way cooler copy because she has the UK edition, but that's okay. We'll get over it.
I have the pink copy with like the letterbox on the front of it. It's so cute.
So jealous. So we've been reading The Correspondent. The first section that we read was 1 through 70, and now we're reading 71 through 141. And then just to get out of the way, the next section we'll be reading is 141 to 211 because it's kind of confusing math. So yeah. So I love this book. I really like it's just a good book.
Yeah.
You know what? It's great to be in the hands of an author you know you can fucking trust. Like when an author knows what the fuck they're doing, it is a beautiful experience where you just can sink into the story and really enjoy it. And I feel so privileged to have been pushed to read this because again, this is not this like I wouldn't have read this otherwise, I don't think. And I'm so thrilled that we chose this for book of the month.
Yeah. I feel like I don't have that much to say, and I kind of feel bad about that, but mostly because I literally just feel like this is like a lazy river kind of book. Mostly like there is a ton of plot. It's not even like that there's no plot. It's just that like I'm just like letting the story be told to me, and I'm just getting like pulled along the lazy river as it happens. Like there's not these big, well, at least thus far, I mean, who knows, but like major plot points that we need to sit here to analyze. Like if you were here for the God of the Woods book of the month, there was so much to be unpacked and like so many plot points to discuss and make hypotheses. about and this honestly I think is more similar to Cat About Town in the sense that it's kind of about, like, enjoying the journey, like, I have no idea where we're going with this,
Totally.
but I'm just really enjoying figuring it out as we read it, and because we trust the author, it's just kind of just easy to enjoy.
Well, I think it's really beautiful because I think it's so fascinating to be able to like, usually when you're reading a book, well, maybe you get, like, at most, like, 5 or 6 perspectives, and that's, like, really fantasy novel, like, goes into the weeds of that. At least I haven't God of the Woods actually would not like, we got everybody's different perspective, but I feel like it's sprouting up more now, but I think it's really unusual to get such a deep dive to people's lives. Like, we get to read both her letters and the letters that she's receiving, so I feel like we know the people that she is writing too. It's not just from her perspective, like, we get to hear their tone of voice and how they write, and it's such a personal and isolated way to get to know somebody because 'cause you're not seeing them in their day-to-day life, like, interacting, being like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the grocery store. Here's how I go to the grocery store, and here's what I do." It's like, "I went to the grocery store, and here's how I remember it, and here's the important things that I think about this moment," and we're spanning so much time in her life and so many relationships, like Harry, my kid, oh my god, I'm so worried about Harry,
Yeah.
and I was actually kinda surprised that, like, I said in my last, like, notes for the last section, I was like, "She seems sharp in every sense of the word." Like, she's very sharp-witted, very sharp, like, she has definite boundaries with people and, but she also has a really soft side to her, and I think that's
Yeah.
really interesting, and I think when she was talking, I was surprised because she seems so sharp and, like, has her boundaries around her, that she shares so much with, like, random people. Like, she has this whole relationship with one of the workers at the DNA place that is helping her with DNA. I think his name is Asa. Like, she divulged so much to him about how she's potentially going blind and, like,
Yeah.
how she has a relationship with Harry and, like, all the things that he's been through, and it's just, like, I love the way that she writes and the way that she shares things and all of these complicated intricacies and seeing the relationships between people and all of these things.
Uh-huh.
We finally get a name for the unsent letters. His name's Colt.
Yes.
So, I was surprised about that, and then I loved her comment about the at the end about, like, politics and watching politics and whatever. It's so great. I love this fucking book.
Yeah. I'm very excited to continue. I also think it's, like, just you don't really know, like, what the anticipated ending could be
Mhm.
yet, like, you don't know what, like, because 'cause we're not really at, like, the climactic point of, like, no return or, like, whatever. So it'll just be interesting to kind of see.
But we also don't even like, at this usual points in books that I read, I usually know what the climactic point will be, and I'm anxious
Yeah, and
waiting
we don't even know that yet. It's not following, like, this structure that
other than, like, the sketchy letters that she's been getting from DM and, like, all of the, like, weird things like that, that's the only, like, kind of plot point that we know other than, like, just, like,
the people there. Yeah.
people. So,
Yeah.
yes, The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. Read along with us if you haven't, it's amazing. Next week, read up till page 211, and then the week after that, we're finishing the book, which is so crazy because I feel like this has already flown by and actually not really even, but I don't know. Anyways,
Have
we
fun.
love you.
Yeah, we love
We'll
you.
see you in the next chapter.
See you in the next chapter. Bye.